We're talking about ways to develop friendship so that positive feelings override the inevitable ups and downs of your marriage relationship. Well, in this lesson, I want to move on to another strategy, that of nurturing admiration. The reason this is so important is that a happy marriage is based on a fundamentally positive view of your spouse. Those couples who view each other in positive ways can weather hard times and still come out on top. For almost all couples, mutual admiration began early in the relationship. You came together because you were attracted to your partner. You liked each other. Logical, right? But admiration can be fragile as you bump up against the realities of living with each other day to day, including going through hard times. The good feelings tend to wear off and you start to see each other's weaknesses. It becomes easy for one or both of you to see the negative rather than the positive, to become critical of each other, not only your behaviors, but even personality traits. Well, here's an amazing statistic. Researchers have sent observers into the homes of couples and families and found that there are at least 5 and maybe as 20 negative comments or interactions for every positive interaction in most homes. And by the way, that's with an observer sitting on the living room sofa. Over time, it becomes easy to become critical and focus more on the negative than the positive in our spouses and family members. The opposite is learning to respect one another, which begins with a decision to view and show up for your spouse in a positive way. You and your spouse both have good points and bad points. Happy couples decide to focus more on the good rather than the bad, what is right about their spouse rather than what's wrong. So in this lesson, I want to offer 4 ways to do this. I'm going to encourage you to not only think about these things, but even write them down, which will make them more real and help cement them up here in your brain. So number 1, first, I want you to think about what attracted you in the first place. What was it that you loved about your partner when you first met? What drew you to him or her? What did you most admire? Can you remember some of the earliest experiences, maybe when you were courting? What was it like? What made those early experiences so exciting? Here's a statistic for you. 94% of the time when couples put a positive spin on the past, they're also likely to put a positive spin on the future as well. And this, by the way, is a common technique used by marriage counselors. I mentioned it in the last lesson. They'll ask a couple to remember and reminisce about their early relationship, courtship, even wedding day. Talking about this with each other helps rekindle your respect and admiration. So not only think about it, as I mentioned before, write it down. A second strategy is to write down what you most respect about your partner today. Identify those traits, behaviors, or mannerisms that you like, and write down examples of when your partner has demonstrated these attributes. As part of this, consider some successes of your spouse, and write these down as well. And once you've written down what you respect, write out why your partner was such a good catch for you, how fortunate you were to find him or her, how you got the better deal in your relationship. Doing this will increase your admiration and positive feelings. A third strategy is something I'm going to recommend when you're upset. Think about something that happened recently that was upsetting to you, and take a look at how you've hung on to that incident and the consequences. Instead of attributing a negative motive to your partner, write down 3 charitable explanations of your partner's behavior. These are statements that give your partner the benefit of the doubt. For example, let's say your partner came home late one evening and you had planned a nice dinner. Well, it's easy to be angry and disappointed and start building a case against him or her, how he or she is insensitive and selfish. But instead of going down that negative path, be charitable. Say things like, she can't control everything that happens at work and doesn't enjoy staying late any more than me. Or she's very conscientious and wants to do such a good job at everything. I appreciate that at home and recognize that it can make it hard for her sometimes to break away. Or, no doubt, something important came up, and so on. All of these practices that I'm talking about help you focus on the good what's right about your partner instead of their flaws. Here's a fourth strategy, and that is praise your partner in public. I cringe at times when I hear some husbands or some wives being critical or negative about their partners with friends or when they're out in public. It's easy to make jokes at the expense of your partner, and some partners will seem to take it in stride. But if you want to build a positive relationship, it's far better to say things that build your partner and help him or her feel valued. Comment on things that he or she does well, or comment on attributes that you admire. Not only does this help your spouse feel good, but it causes you to feel good as well. Even if you've been struggling in your relationship, making positive comments will help you feel more positively about your partner and yourself. So nurturing admiration is a powerful strategy for improving your marriage. Make a commitment to these actions that I've been talking about. Not only will they impact your partner, but you'll discover your own positive feelings growing, and let's continue to explore more ways to nurture friendship in the next lesson.